TRU-TALK, a moment of silence for all five of these young men because one lost their hands, one lost their life at the hands of four of these men, and four of these men lost their life in prison by killing one of these men. And I've been looking at people doing videos saying these dudes cook, showing videos of certain one of those dudes crying, and he's like, "Why you crying now?" Calling them stupid, crash outs, you know, the regular programming that we see. The regular scheduled program of what continue to happen. First the internet pump it up, and they was interviewing Fludio. I never seen none of those interviews sit down and really rebuke him for what he was doing. They asked him questions like, "Are you scared of death? You think you're gonna die and all this thing. How do you feel about this?" Like asking questions about stuff that would put him in a hot seat. And then when you know people listen to his music, when he dissing the dead, they laugh with him. They was invested in the beef. They paid attention to it. They tell these dudes on the internet now, we know they shouldn't listen to the internet, but the truth is pure pressure. Not wanting to be considered a chump when the internet tell these dudes to slide on one another. Oh, you ain't slide for so and so. You just let him kill your homie, and for us that don't buy into it, you gotta understand that these are part of these young people life. They always on Instagram and the internet and have to hear people say this. They be having arguments on Twitter and stuff about sliding for one another, and oh, he killed your homeboy, laughing at one another, enticing one another. And I'm not making excuses for now one of these young men, but everybody is saying, "Oh, this what they get. They gangsters. They want to play gangster. This what gangsters get." And F them. Like it's crazy how people are talking about these four young men that got sentenced to life as if they loved one got killed, as if they killed their loved one. Now, most of these people don't know Fulio. They didn't cry or didn't feel pain, but yet they on the internet saying because these dudes took a life that F what happened to them. And I'm like, well, if you can be that cold, then can you blame these four young men for being cold? If say Fludio took some of their loved ones, like you hypocrite. Like if none of your loved ones was lost in this, but you can be cold because you feel like they was cold, then ain't you the same as them? If you gonna say F them, they get what they deserve, wouldn't that be their same attitude for the ops? Well, if the ops they get what they deserve, you see what I'm saying? And I think Tupac said it best. There's no love for the ghetto child. And I know what people gonna say, well, these young grown men, but they once was children. They once was children growing up in the ghetto, except for Sean, the light skinned dude. But he's a story of being enticed by the streets. And even though Sean, I think, was the only one grew up in a good home, it was like, well, whether he have time to hang out with these dudes and find these dudes. Like you can grow up in a good home and he visited the world before he was 17. He did this and did that and was good in school, but still it shows the lack of adults in his life because somewhere they went wrong. Somewhere he got away from them. Somewhere they didn't know who he was hanging with. Somebody didn't sit him down before it got too late. Before he met these people and said, "Hey man, you going the wrong way." But as I listen to this case of these how most of these young men grew up, how their uncles in the prison, both of this dude right here on the right, up the upper right, how both of his uncles in prison, his baby mama locked up, his little brother in prison, his mama was on drugs, he was in the foster care, and how he was getting abused in the foster care. And you hear the stories like this too often. And these are the ghetto kids that Tupac to talk about. Nobody care about because they grow up, and these usually be the results. That when you put in an environment where this all that you know, that death is all around you. He talked about his cousin dying, that his mama, grandma, and cousin died in the span of 3 years. How the other dude was trying to get his sisters and brothers out of foster care. Like all these tales of a broken home, of a ghetto child, father not being there, mama on drugs, in and out of uh, foster care, being abused. And nobody care about these ghetto children. When they grow up and commit crimes like this, we just say F them. That's what they get. They knew better. Certain races be able to point at this and say, look, y'all killing yourself. Look, y'all violent. Y'all animals. Y'all. And even ourselves can look at this and say, what's wrong with us? But nobody considered the ghetto child before these boys even got 30 and 27 and 18 before they met each other. That what was going on at home, who was showing them love, who was their role model. I hear people like, oh, they just did it for rep, they just get it for crowds. This was in the middle of a gang war. It talked about how the dude that had a job and quit the job because people was waiting for him to get off and was shooting at him, and their house got shot up. Imagine having a job and gotta quit your job because you being shot at. People don't consider that. But when one of these dudes commit a crime and take somebody's life, it's F them, send them to jail, let them do life. I don't care for them. I have no mercy for them. You mad at them for being heartless, but you just as heartless. Do I believe in justice? Yes, I do. But we can have mercy and understanding, but also dealing out justice. And I know nobody won't cry for these young men. Nobody won't pity for them. What they said, nobody cry for us thugs. Nobody cry for consider the young ghetto children. Nobody cry for the broken. Nobody consider the trauma, what they went through being in a gang war, losing loved ones, growing up the way they did, being enticed, being influenced. We act like these things don't exist, and we just wanna put the full burden. But last time I checked, it take a community to raise a child. It take a village, ain't that what they say? So we all gotta be held accountable. The people that interviewed Flutio and they never rebuke him and put flame on the fire. The people that was on the internet that was enticing this. The people that listened to the music. And nothing good come out of this is tragedy. Many of these young men had children and now their children are gonna grow up like they grew up without fathers in their life. Minus one or two of these dudes, well, I believe they had a two parents household. But it just shows a two parents household don't mean that you're not raising it. Don't mean that you know that their child is getting the attention and love that they supposed to be getting. So man, yeah, I just want to come on here because everybody is laughing and picking and saying don't cry now and these people's coming out the woodwork making videos just content about this being just as cold as they like to say these young men's was about these young men's life getting taken away. There's nothing pretty about it. There's nothing to laugh about. There's nothing to say, oh, I don't care. I have no mercy on them. Nah, I cry for these young men. I feel sorry for them because I see the humanity in them. Just like Flutio, just like the person they killed. I seen the humanity in him, even though he done some awful, wicked, evil things. I still see the humanity in them. I still see myself in them. You hear about the loved ones that come up to speak about them. They are people with lives too. And yes, many the prison system is filled with many young black men that made the wrong choice. And this is their judgment. And they got a better chance than Flutio, the one that they killed. He can't come back. So even justice was served, I gotta say, I'm not happy about it. And I do feel sorry for these young men. And all I see is loss. I see young black men that's not gonna be on the street to be fathers, to be husbands, to be a good role model. But hopefully this case show do more help than damage. That when the stretcher says do not take revenge, that even though it may hurt, that the real thing to do to be a real nigga, to be righteous, is to forgive and let live. Because ain't nothing realer than that. No matter how street you is, how gangster you is, we just want to have good days. We just want to live. Every human being want to have fun, want to be loved, and want to live. If you didn't, you would just kill yourself like some people. And sometimes it get to that point, and it shouldn't. We like to call these dudes stupid and crash outs when they just ghetto kids that's lost, that end up growing up. But once again, I guess nobody cares for the ghetto kids. But as always, let y'all be true and every man a lie. Till next time, Shalom.